Hey guys, been a while. We're going to start chapter 11, intro into circles, and just a definition of a circle is that a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are equal distance from a given point. So essentially, you got this point right here, and all these other ones that are equal distance from it. And now remember, this is not going to be perfect, but equal distance from here. So all of these are the same distance. So really, all of this is a whole bunch of points, and they're so close together that we draw it out like a circle. So that's what a circle is. But remember, each one of those things is a point out here. So here we go, parts of a circle. You have the center of the circle, that's that point, the actual point where all the points that make up a circle are equal distance from. So you have the center, the radius, the distance from any point on the circle to the center. So again, you should know these terms a little bit, but if you had a circle, this is the center. From here to there, that would be the radius. A chord, now this is maybe a new term. A chord is any line segment whose endpoints are on the circle. So a chord could look something like this, where you have it from here, and it goes across to right there. Chord could be something like this. But notice the endpoints are actually points on the circle. And then we have a diameter, which is actually really a chord. So a diameter is a special chord that passes through the center of the circle. So if you look at these chords that I drew right here, they don't pass through the center. So they're chords, but they're not diameters. So a diameter goes through the center, and it's still, the endpoints are on the edge of the circle, so it's considered a chord, but it's a special type of chord, which is called a diameter. And remember, 2 radii equals a diameter. And that would be one right here, and one going that way. So you have an R, which is really the same thing as 1 diameter. So, all right. Some other terms. We have lines in a circle. One of the lines is called a secant of a circle. And secant is a line that intersects a circle in exactly 2 points. So you have a circle, you've got a line, that would be considered secant to the circle. The tangent of the circle is a line that intersects at exactly 1 point. Notice this has 2 points of intersection. In a tangent circle, it only has 1, and that point is going to be on the circle, and that is called our point of tangency. So it looks something like this. We have a circle, and then the line just barely touches. I know it looks like it hits a couple points, but it would only hit 1 point right there. That would be the point of tangency, would be right there, located right here. And this would be a tangent line. Notice it only hits 1 time, whereas this one right here hits twice. So what is the difference between a radius, a diameter, a secant, and a tangent? Because right here, some of you might think that this right here is a diameter, or it could be a chord or something like that. The difference is a radius, diameter, a chord. Should have put that on there. These guys are line segments, whereas these guys are lines. So remember, these guys are going to continue on forever, whereas these are just pieces of some type of line. So that's going to be the difference between those. So chords, radius, and diameter are going to be line segments. All right, angles. Angles in a circle. We have central angle. And a central angle is an angle whose vertex is in the center of the circle. So if you have got a circle, you've got the center, you've got this angle that is happening right here. That angle that is happening is a central angle. We'll talk more about that later on. We're just kind of defining them right now, but that is going to be a central angle. You're still going to name them kind of the same way with their points. So you have A, B, and C. You're still going to name that the way that we've done before. Then we have an inscribed angle is going to be the vertex. Notice the difference is where the vertex is located. It's located in the center for a central angle. Notice Central kind of is the same thing as center. Okay, so inscribed is going to be the vertex is on the circle. On the circle. So an inscribed angle, you're going to have the vertice happening over here. So this over here is an example of an inscribed angle. All right, an arc. An arc is an unbroken part of the circumference of a circle. The symbol used is this little arc mark. So I'll just draw. So if you have a circle, okay, if you just talk about from here to here, that is an arc, just like a piece of it. So that would be considered an arc. Minor arcs are the smallest angle formed by a secant and the circle. It goes less than halfway around, and you only use 2 endpoints to name that. The large arc formed by a secant and a circle, and it's more than halfway, is called a major. So we have major arcs and minor arcs. And then we also have one that is a semicircle, which is an arc that represents exactly half. So this right here in blue would be considered a minor arc. This in red would be considered a major arc, and it would be right on the circle. I'm just drawing it so you can see the difference. So that would be a major and a minor. And then if we had a circle, and I had exactly half of it, that would be called a semicircle. And with these guys right here, you're only going to have to use 2 endpoints to name them. So minor arcs, you only use 2, whereas major, we're going to use 3, and even semicircles, we're going to also use 3 points to name them. So we're going to have some practice naming some arcs. This is probably one of the newest. This chord, these guys are going to be the newest thing for you to understand. So make sure you go over those a couple times. Here we go. Name 2 different minor arcs. So if I want to name this, I could name an arc D, M. Notice my letters are still capital, but then I put this little arc like that. So it's just a little tiny arc over the top of the DM. Make sure that you do not write it like this. This is no good for this. That would be line segment DM. We are not talking about that right now. We are talking about an arc. So notice the difference. And we could talk about another one, which would be MW. And again, the arc mark symbol. Notice that symbol, please. That is the key to geometry is knowing their symbols. So now we're going to name 2 different major arcs. And let's show you. The DM arc would be consistent from here to here, right? And MW would be from here to here. So those are 2 different. You could do a whole bunch. You could have done D to W. You could have done Z to W. You could have done Z to M. All those would have been examples of minor. You could have done Z to K. K to D would even be from here to here. K to D, make sure that's capital, would still be a minor arc. All right, 2 different major arcs. Now, major arcs have to be over the halfway. So if I want to do that, I could not label just from D to Z. It has to be past that. So notice, I want to show the person which way I'm going. So if I want to go from here all the way to W, how does the person know that I'm talking about going this way and I'm not talking about this minor arc, which is DW? How do they know the difference between that? Or we can even do one that we already did, which would probably be better. Let's just go to D. We're going to go all the way from D this way around to M. How do they know the difference? That's because notice we only used 2 when we were talking about the minor arc. So since we're talking about the major arc, we have to use 3 letters. So we would do something like this. D, K, M. And this middle one right here tells you that you're going from D to K and continuing all the way through it to M. And so that tells them that you're talking about that major arc right there. So go ahead and try to do the major arc from M to W. So try that one. I'll give you a couple seconds. Remember, you have to use 3 for this one. So if I was going from M all the way around this way to W, talking about the major arc, not the minor arc, which we already labeled right there, talking about the major one, it would be M, D, W. Now, that's not the only way that you could do this. M and W have to be there. The one that can change is D. You could have used D, you could have used K, you could have even used Z. All those would be the same. So if I would have done M, K, W, these guys right here are the same arc, just named kind of different, but they represent the same arc. So there's not going to be just necessarily one answer that you would put down that's going to be only correct. Remember, the M and the W will have to be the front and the end. But my middle one, which tells you which direction you're going, can change. That one's not going to matter, as long as it's got to be in between the M and the W on my way around. So if I had a point here that was like A, I couldn't have used A for that. All right. Name 2 semicircles, and we use 3 letters for that. So I would go same kind of thing that we did with the major arc. We could do D, M, Z. And when I do that, I'm telling you, I'm talking about from D, M to Z. I'm talking about this half of the circle. If I wanted the other half of the circle, I would have to do D, K, Z, which would tell you I went from D to K and then to Z, and I'm talking about this half over here. All right, name a diameter. Remember, a diameter goes from one side of the circle all the way to the other, and it goes through the middle. So if I wanted to name a diameter, I would name D, Z, and it would be a line segment. Notice it is a line segment, or you could have written that as Z, D, and again, line segment. If I wanted to name a radius, I could have done O, D, or I could have done CO, or anything like that, where you're talking about from the center and out, or from the center and out, any of that. Hopefully you found those words pretty easy to understand. Make sure you get those down, because we will be referring to those throughout the rest of this chapter. Have a great night, guys. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow.